There is a place in Arizona where planes do not fly. It is a vast, empty stretch of the Grand Canyon. Miles of jagged red rock. Deep, dark chasms. The Colorado River winding silently below. It looks like untouched wilderness. But there is something strange about this particular area. The airspace above it is restricted. Heavily restricted. No commercial flights. No private planes. No drones. If you try to fly over it, you will be intercepted by military aircraft and forced to land. Why? Why would the United States government ban flight over a section of empty desert? What is down there, hidden among the rocks, that they do not want anyone to see? The official explanation is simple. It is for the safety of commercial aviation. The air currents are unpredictable. The terrain is dangerous. But the official explanation has never satisfied those who know the old story. A story that begins not in our time, but over a century ago. A story about a lost Egyptian city, a hidden citadel, and the Smithsonian Institution. Let us begin. The date is April 5, 1909. The Arizona Gazette is a respected, if small, newspaper serving the Arizona Territory. On this particular day, it publishes a front-page story that would have been laughed out of the newsroom in any other city. But this is Arizona. The frontier. The edge of the known world. And the story is incredible. The headline reads, Explorations in Grand Canyon. The article tells the story of a man named G. Kinkaid. Kinkaid was described as an experienced explorer and archaeologist, working for the Smithsonian Institution. He had been traveling down the Colorado River in a small wooden boat, mapping the canyon and documenting its geological wonders. The journey was dangerous. The river was wild. The canyon walls rose thousands of feet above him, sheer and impassable. But Kinkaid was persistent. He was looking for something. And one day, he found it. About 2 miles upriver from a place called El Tovo Crystal Canyon, Kinkaid spotted a strange opening in the canyon wall. It was high above the water. Too high to be a natural cave. Too regular. Too precise. It looked like a doorway. Kinkaid secured his boat and began to climb. The rock was loose. The climb was treacherous. One wrong move and he would fall hundreds of feet onto the jagged rocks below. But he kept going. He pulled himself up to the opening and looked inside. What he saw made him freeze. The entrance was man-made. Perfectly carved. The walls were smooth. The floor was level. There were steps leading down. It was a passageway, cut into the heart of the canyon, leading deep into the earth. Kinkaid lit his lantern and descended. The air was cool and dry. The silence was absolute. As he went deeper, the passage opened into a massive chamber. And then another. And another. Kinkaid had not found a cave. He had found a city. According to the Arizona Gazette, Kinkaid described a vast underground complex. Rooms large enough to hold 50,000 people. Hallways stretching for hundreds of feet. Chambers filled with strange and beautiful artifacts. He reported seeing massive stone statues, perfectly carved from marble and granite. He saw ancient tablets, covered in a writing system he did not recognize. He saw metal tools and weapons, corroded with age but still recognizable. And then there were the mummies. Kinkaid claimed to have found dozens of mummified bodies, wrapped in linen and buried with elaborate ceremonies. Some were placed in stone sarcophagi, carved with images of gods and animals. Others were sitting upright, their backs against the walls, as if guarding the ancient secrets of the underground city. But the most shocking detail was the writing on the walls. Kinkaid described hieroglyphs. Not the hieroglyphs of Native American cultures, but Egyptian hieroglyphs. The symbols of ancient Egypt. And alongside them, carvings that resembled Hindu deities. Shiva, Ganesha, figures from the other side of the world, buried beneath the American desert. The implications were staggering. If Kinkaid was telling the truth, it meant that ancient Egyptians, or someone copying their culture, had crossed the Atlantic Ocean thousands of years ago and built a massive underground citadel in the Grand Canyon. It meant that the history of human civilization was incomplete. It meant that the first explorers of America were not who we thought they were. The story spread quickly. But then, something strange happened. The Smithsonian Institution, which was supposedly funding Kinkaid's expedition, suddenly went silent. When reporters contacted them for comment, they denied any knowledge of the discovery. They claimed they had never heard of G. Kinkaid. They claimed no such expedition had ever taken place. But the Arizona Gazette had published the man's name. He was real. He existed. And he had been seen in the area. So where did he go? According to the story, Kinkaid was ordered to return to Washington immediately. The Smithsonian took possession of all his notes, all his photographs, all his maps. And the entrance to the city was sealed, dynamited, destroyed, buried beneath tons of rock. And it was never opened again. Now, here is where the story connects to another dark chapter in Smithsonian history. Decades earlier, in the late 1800s, newspapers across America were reporting the discovery of giant human skeletons in ancient burial mounds. The Smithsonian, as we have explored before, was accused of collecting these giant bones and locking them away, erasing evidence of an ancient race of giants from the historical record. The pattern, according to researchers, is the same. A discovery is made that does not fit the official narrative of American history. The Smithsonian arrives. The artifacts are confiscated. The evidence is hidden. And the public is told to forget. The giant skeletons. The Grand Canyon Citadel. The Smithsonian, some believe, is not a museum at all. It is a gatekeeper. A censor. A mechanism for controlling what we are allowed to know about the ancient past. The Grand Canyon story has some intriguing pieces of evidence. For one thing, the restricted airspace is real. The US government has imposed a no-fly zone over a section of the canyon that is never fully explained. Is it truly for aviation safety? Or is it to keep prying eyes away from something hidden below? For another, the story of the Arizona Gazette is real. The article exists. It is in the archives. You can find it. The newspaper was a legitimate publication. It was not a tabloid. It was not known for printing hoaxes. But there are also problems with the story. Serious problems. First, the Smithsonian has no record of a G.E. Kinkaid ever working for the institution. No employment records. No expedition reports. No correspondence. Nothing. Second, the Arizona Gazette article was published only once. It was never followed up. No other newspaper picked up the story. No academic journal mentioned it. No photographs were ever released. Third, the physical description of the Grand Canyon in the article does not match the actual geography. The names of the landmarks are different. The distances are wrong. The article mentions locations that do not exist. Skeptics argue that the whole story is a hoax. A piece of frontier fiction, written to sell newspapers and entertain bored miners. They point out that the Arizona Gazette was not above exaggeration. They remind us that the early 20th century was a time of wild speculation about lost civilizations, hidden cities, and the mysteries of the American West. So where does the truth lie? Is the Grand Canyon Citadel a genuine archaeological wonder, suppressed by the Smithsonian for over a century? Or is it a piece of creative fiction, an elaborate hoax that has taken on a life of its own? Perhaps the answer is somewhere in between. Perhaps G.E. Kinkaid was a real person who found a real cave. Perhaps he imagined it to be bigger than it was. Perhaps the Arizona Gazette exaggerated his claims for a better headline. And perhaps the Smithsonian, tired of dealing with a publicity-hungry amateur, simply distanced itself from the whole affair. Or perhaps the Citadel is real. Perhaps deep within the Grand Canyon, hidden behind a collapsed wall of rock, there is a city. A city of stone and shadow. A city where mummies sleep and strange gods watch over silent halls. A city that the Smithsonian has spent a century trying to forget. The restricted airspace remains. The no-fly zone remains. The questions remain. If the Citadel is just a hoax, why is the area still closed? Why does the government still prevent planes from flying overhead? What are they hiding? And if they are hiding nothing, why does the legend persist? The Grand Canyon is a place of immense beauty and immense mystery. It is one of the last truly wild places on Earth. And perhaps, buried beneath its ancient rocks, there are secrets that will one day be revealed. Secrets that will change everything we think we know about the history of this continent. Until then, the story of G.E. Kinkaid and the hidden Egyptian city remains what it has always been. A rumor. A mystery. A story whispered in the dark corners of the internet and the archives of forgotten newspapers. And the Smithsonian, as always, remains silent. If this deep dive into America's most forbidden archaeological mystery fascinated you, subscribe to The Past Unsealed. We uncover the hidden cities, the suppressed discoveries, and the ancient secrets the establishment has tried to bury for over a century. And if you want to see more stories like this, tell us in the comments. What hidden chapter of forbidden history should we unseal next? Thank you for watching.